explain the Should We Have Saturday School lesson number 2. This is going to be your lesson for Monday. And so the first thing you'll see in here is a set of notes. This is going to be your sixth set of notes for digital literacy. All of the notes should be numbered, and eventually you're going to need to go back and make sure that you have all these notes before you take your test on Wednesday. But you'll notice that it's just a couple of slides, so 2 slides. And the first one talks about what we kind of focused on last week. So when we're looking at information on the internet, we need to always ask ourselves who is behind that information, where are they getting their money from or their funding from, what's their mission or perspective, and what might their motivations be for presenting this information. So is there a motive behind it? It doesn't necessarily make it wrong. It just makes it, we just need to be aware of that so that we can kind of really understand where that information is coming from. Today, we're going to focus on evidence. So when people present evidence online or anywhere really, you need to always ask yourself, what's the source of that evidence? Is that source trustworthy? Is the evidence enough to fully support their claim? So is what they're claiming as evidence to support, or in this case, Saturday school, or not having Saturday school, is that evidence like actually, enough to fully support their claim that we should or should not have Saturday school? And then what's missing or what might be better evidence? Okay, so write those into your notebook. And today we're going to go back to the concept of the Saturday school. So imagine that our school is thinking about starting a new policy, mandatory Saturday school. Today we're going to look at possible evidence that we could present from both sides to the school board. You will be assigned one source. You'll see on my screen, you'll see 3 sources. What's the evidence? Source A, source B, and source C. You will just see one on your screen. You're going to take a look at that source. So I'm going to pull up source C for a moment. So your source will be a screenshot of a website. You may want to use some lateral reading. So when you are reading this, so for example, this looks like a Facebook post from Kayla Silver, according to the National Center for Time and Learning. So the first thing I might want to think about, well, who is this National Center for Time and Learning? I'm going to open up a new tab and I'm going to try Googling them. National Center for, what did I say again? Time and Learning. And I'm going to find that here they are, right? I'm going to read the About Us page. I'm going to figure out who they are. I might want to look to see if there's any other information. Here's a Wikipedia site. So I'm going to nonprofit dedicated to expanding learning time. Okay, so I'm reading that. But you're going to do this, whatever source you have. They also have a link here to the study. So you might want to open up that link. One study shows, okay, so I'm reading this, and then I'm coming down here, and then you want to say, where is the source from? So the source in this case is the person, right? And she's quoting other sources. What arguments does the source make? So are they for or against Saturday school? Describe the evidence. So the evidence is that study she's providing. And then, what are the strengths of the evidence? What are the weaknesses of evidence? And then overall, how convincing do you find this evidence? So you may be looking at source C. Otherwise, you may be looking at a couple other sources. So you can do the same 6 questions for each of the sources. Then after you have done your sources, you're going to come back here and you're going to review all of the sources. So here shows all of the sources. Then you are going to do a final discussion post. In the final discussion post is the one in yellow. So based on these questions on the previous page, which source, A, B, or C, do you think is the most trustworthy and why? So that's the lesson for Monday. That's the final lesson of digital literacy. The next set of lessons for this week are going to be preparing for your quiz, and you'll take your quiz on Wednesday.